Carly is a desperate 29-year-old woman who is tired of living alone. Feeling it's her last resort, Carly puts her profile on an online dating site and uses a picture of her best friend who died the previous year. She is sure to attract herself a husband now. Carly has some deep-rooted evil lurking beneath the surface that is going to take her new groom-to-be by surprise. Carly's friend Cadence has just lost her parents in a car accident. Carly had gone with Cadence to her hometown of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, to attend their funeral. Cadence's brother had died in Iraq the year before. Cadence has no family to speak of now, so Carly had talked her into putting her parents' home up for sale and continue to live in Little Rock, Arkansas with Carly on her farm. After a couple of days, Cadence agreed to take Carly's advice. So she listed the house for sale in the local newspaper. She didn't want to list with a realtor at first because she was trying to save from paying a realtor's fee. Carly is very helpful with everything that Cadence needed over the past days they had spent in Kentucky. The two girls decide to head back to Arkansas the next morning. That night, Cadence went to Carly's room and told her, "Thank you for being such a good friend through all of this." Carly told her, "Oh, you're welcome. What are friends for anyway?" They got a late start the next day. They ended up leaving late into the afternoon. The girls drove for a few hours. When it started getting dark, Cadence said that they should stop at a rest area to use the bathroom before it got too dark. Finally, after driving about another half an hour or so, they saw a sign that said the next rest area was 4 miles. Coming up to the exit, they pulled down into the rest area. It is run down and there are no other people around. The light that is there was so dim that you could hardly see where the walkway is to the restrooms. Cadence looks at Carly and says, "Man, it sure is creepy out here. Are you sure that you want to go in there? I'm sure there will be another rest area up the road shortly." Carly looked around then said, "Yeah, I got to pee, and there's no one around here. We'll be fine." Cadence still felt unsure and felt like something bad is going to happen, but she just ignored her gut feeling and got out of the car and headed for the restroom. Once the girls reached the building, they saw that it is a one-room bathroom stall. They looked at each other, and then Carly told Cadence to go first. "Are you sure?" Cadence asked. "Yeah, just go. I'll keep watch out here for the boogeyman." Carly tells Cadence. "Oh shit," Cadence says. Then both girls start laughing. That made Cadence feel more at ease, but she still has this gut feeling that she could not shake of something terrible happening. Cadence is a very small woman, about 5 feet 2 inches, weighing about 90 pounds, soaking wet with brunette hair and brown eyes, and has a simple beauty about her. She is very trusting of everyone around her. She helps others, even if she knows that they are just using her for her money. Carly is just the opposite. She is more aggressive to others. Carly is 5 feet 8 inches and heavyset. She has dark brown hair and dark brown eyes. She has deep-seated issues with acceptance and relationships, with men constantly going sour on her. She is prone to violent outbursts when she does not get her way. While in Kentucky with Cadence, several people had made the comment that Cadence and Carly looked like they could be sisters. This would prove to be a fateful comment. While Carly is waiting for Cadence, she decided to take a walk around the bathroom building. As she is walking in the dark, she tripped over a rusted piece of steel. Bending over, she picked it up to toss it out of the way. She hears Cadence call for her. Carly goes back to the bathroom stall where Cadence is. She is standing in the doorway of the bathroom stall. Carly walked back around the side of the building. Cadence saw her and said, "Damn, Carly, I thought the boogeyman got to you." Carly smiled at Cadence, then laughed a faint laugh. Cadence started to move out of the doorway to the bathroom to let her friend in, when suddenly, Carly raised her hands to the side, swinging the piece of steel at Cadence, hitting her in the side of the head, causing her to slump to the floor just outside the bathroom door. Carly stepped over her, then grabbed her by her hair and dragged her limp body into the bathroom. Cadence is moaning and crying, "Why are you doing this to me?" Carly says, "I want to be you." "Why?" Cadence uttered. "Because Cadence, you have everything," Carly tells her in an evil voice. Carly started hitting her over and over in the face with a piece of steel, bashing out her teeth and breaking all the bones in her face, causing her eye sockets to explode and her eyes to burst from the force with each blow. Cadence is drowning in her own blood. Once Carly saw that Cadence is no longer moving, Carly took off her shirt and wrapped the steel in her shirt. She went out to Cadence's car, putting the covered piece of steel in the trunk. Carly started looking in the car for something she could use to cut Cadence's fingertips off. She couldn't find anything to use. Carly went back in the bathroom, panicking because she is afraid that someone would come to the rest area, because it seemed to be taking so much time to take care of Cadence, which in all reality, it was only just a few minutes. Carly did not want any way for Cadence to be identified. She needs to find something sharp to remove her fingertips. Carly went back outside and looked around. The highway is lonely, and there are no other cars that have pulled into the rest area. She decided to go behind the restroom where she had found the steel piece and look around to see if there is something sharp. Using her cell phone as a flashlight, she finally came across a sharp-looking piece of metal. Carly picked it up off the ground. It is the size of a kitchen butcher knife. She ran her finger across it to see if it is sharp enough to cut through flesh, accidentally cutting herself. Carly went back into the restroom and washed the piece of metal off, making sure that she washed all of her blood down the sink. She then took off her bra and wrapped the dull end of the metal with it. She bent down on her knees and started cutting through Cadence's scalp to remove her hair. Carly is cutting and tugging, ripping her scalp away from her skull until she removed the entire scalp. It is hot in the small bathroom as there is no ventilation, so the odor from the blood is making Carly feel sick to her stomach. Trying not to vomit, Carly started cutting off each of Cadence's fingertips until there is nothing left to remove. Not wanting to leave any evidence behind, Carly looked around for something to put it in. She decided to use the bag out of the garbage can. She pulled the bag out of the metal garbage can, then dumped all the trash over her friend's face and head. Carly put the fingertips, scalp, and the makeshift knife she made with her bra into the bag. She then checks Cadence's pockets for ID and money. Carly rips Cadence's necklace off of her neck. She then notices that Cadence has earrings in her ears. She decides to bite off her earlobes and spit them into the bag. Getting off of the floor, she goes to the sink and washes the blood out of her mouth, rinsing it down the sink. She uses paper towels to wash her face and breasts and wipes out the sink. Carly looked around the bathroom floor and made sure that she has not missed any of the teeth that she had knocked out. She had picked them all up and put them in the bag. Carly goes out the door and looks around before she takes the bag out with her. Seeing that no one had driven into the rest area and that she is still alone, Carly went back into the bathroom, grabbed the bag, looked once again to be sure she saw no one. Before she closed the door to the bathroom, she took one last look at Cadence lying on the concrete floor dead. Carly had peace come over her, knowing that she has opened a door for her to become someone new, where she will not live with her old reputation anymore. Getting to the car, she tied the bag closed very tight so that no blood would leak out. She then put the bag in the spare tire compartment. to hide it in case she was to get pulled over. Carly got in the back seat and put her shirt on, then got into the car and drove away before anyone pulled into the rest area and saw her there. Once she got back onto the highway, she decided to take a different route home so that she is as far away from that rest area as possible. Carly's mind is going crazy, trying to figure out how she is going to get rid of the DNA evidence that she is carrying in the car. Driving well into the night, for several hours, Carly finally saw signs for a rest area. Taking the next exit, she looked around to see how many people are there using the facility. To her surprise, there are no cars, just one semi-truck facing the opposite direction of the restrooms. Noticing that there are several porta potties lined up outside of the bathroom buildings, Carly took this as her chance to ditch the evidence she has been driving around with for hours, entering into another state. Getting the bag out of the trunk, making it as small as she could so that no one would see her carrying anything to the porta potty, she had to hurry because she did not know if Cadence's body has been found yet. Carly stepped inside of the porta potty and locked the door. She untied the bag and then dumped it into the toilet. She used her light from her phone again to see if the evidence is visible to anyone. It wasn't. The porta potty had recently been cleaned, so the evidence sank deep into the blue chemical. Other than the paper towels floating at the top, Carly knew that the chemicals would destroy any evidence on them. She wiped up the blood that had dropped from the bag onto the seat with a paper towel and used the antibacterial hand gel that is provided. Now she needed to get rid of the plastic bag. Knowing it would float, she did not put it into the porta potty. Carly wadded the bag up as small as she could, but the blood is getting all over her hands, so she opened the door and looked around for cars and other people. Again, no one had driven into the rest area. Carly headed for the restroom building. She tried the door and found that it is unlocked. Opening the door, she looked to see if anyone was in any of the stalls. Finding no one, Carly went into one of the bathroom stalls and put the bag on the floor. She lit the bag on fire and watched as it burned into the cement. Carly then went to the sink and washed her hands. Then, using a paper towel, she dried her hands, then wiped out the sink. Carly went into one of the bathroom stalls and flushed the paper towel down the toilet. She watched and made sure that it did flush. Carly has one more piece of evidence to ditch, and that is the rusted piece of steel she used to kill Cadence. Carly walked out of the restroom and headed straight for her car and left the rest area. Once back in Arkansas, Carly headed for her farm her parents owned, where Carly and Cadence had been living together as roommates. Carly's parents are at their main residence in Arizona. They rarely visited their daughter at the farm, and in fact, Carly has not seen them in 6 months and had only heard from her mother once in that time. Where the farm is located, there are no neighbors for about 10 miles. Carly didn't have many friends or visitors to visit in recent months anyway. Cadence has been the only person besides Carly that has even been at the farm in the past 6 months. Carly lived off of her parents for income because she could not hold a job long due to her temper and unpredictable outbursts. It is daylight when Carly had pulled up the driveway. Shutting the car off, she sat there for a moment thinking of where would be the best place to hide the murder weapon. Then she remembered the old well that is on the farm. It has never been used. Taking the tractor to the old well, Carly has to use the tractor to push the concrete lid off to the side so she could throw the piece of steel into the well. Carly's father had made the concrete cover for the well because he feared that Carly and their other children might get hurt or even killed in the well because when they were kids, they used to love to play around the well. Looking down into the well, Carly threw in the piece of steel wrapped in her shirt. She watched as it continued to fall until it was out of sight. Hearing it hit what Carly believed to be the bottom, she got back onto the tractor, leaving the concrete lid open. She drove back to the barn. Returning to the house, Carly got everything out of the car. She washed and detailed the car, completely removing any evidence of Cadence ever being there. Cadence had only been living in Arkansas for about 3 months or so. She and Carly had met on the internet when Carly had placed an ad for a roommate. Cadence wanted desperately to move from Kentucky and had answered Carly's ad online. After talking to Carly for a couple of weeks on the phone, Cadence decided to go out to Arkansas to meet her in person and see the farm before she committed to renting the room. After meeting, the two girls felt that they are a good match for being roommates, and Cadence then gave Carly the money for the room rent as well as a deposit. She then headed back home to get her belongings and then drove back to the farm in Arkansas to live with Carly. It would prove to be a fatal mistake. Carly knew that Cadence had some extra money from her brother's life insurance in the amount of $150,000. Cadence had no other close relatives besides her parents. Due to her father being in the military, Cadence had no deep roots because she had moved so many times while she was young, never able to make lifelong friends. Cadence was very trusting of people. She made the mistake of opening up to Carly and telling her private things about herself and her family. Carly found herself envying Cadence for being thin, beautiful, having a new car, and some money in her pocket. What Cadence did not know is that Carly has deep-seated evil brewing inside of her. Cadence did witness a few of Carly's temper tantrums when Carly would speak to her parents, but Cadence would talk with Carly and calm her down, never imagining that Carly would ever turn on her. In fact, Cadence was calming Carly one night when she was upset, and while hugging Carly, kissed Cadence. Cadence did not resist Carly's romantic gestures, and they had kissed after that kiss on numerous occasions. Did this mean that Carly wanted to be with a woman rather than a man? Carly had always been attracted to women, but had never acted on it or had a chance to act on her feelings until now. Is her hidden sexuality the driving force behind her anger and uncontrollable outbursts? After the first night that they were together intimately, they had had several sexual rendezvous together. Cadence found she was falling in love with Carly, but was too scared to tell her how she felt in fear of rejection. If Cadence had told Carly how she felt, would that have saved her life? Carly will never know that she killed the only person that has ever truly loved her. Carly has never had a long-lasting relationship with a man because she gets very obsessive of the man that she scares them off. None of the local men will go near Carly, even if they are drunk. So Carly spends most of her time on the internet, surfing dating sites for a man. Not completely convinced that a woman can satisfy her completely in a long-term relationship, Carly wants to get married and makes no apologies for being straightforward with her intentions on her online profiles. Her headline on each profile says, "Dare to marry a stranger." Due to this unique headline, Carly has received many inquiries wanting to get a picture and set up a meeting with her. She has strung men along with excuses about her photo. She does not want to post her real photo because she is overweight and had listed her body type as being curvy. Carly had also listed that she owned her own farm and has no money issues. Now that Carly has gotten rid of Cadence, eventually she would post her picture online on Carly's profile after she fulfills her plans of assuming Cadence's identity. She plans to collect any life insurances left to Cadence from the death of her parents, as well as the proceeds from the sale of the house in Kentucky. A year has gone by since that fateful night at the rest area where Carly had taken her friend's life. Carly has since assumed Cadence's identity completely She is also relocated to another state where no one knows her. Carly has told her parents that she has got a new boyfriend and that she stays with him most of the time, but that she has plans of being married and living on the farm. Her parents are glad that they no longer had to support her or deal with her dangerous outbursts when she did not get her way. Her parents are frightened of her, and they will never move back to the farm in Arkansas. Carly has given their family a bad reputation in their small town, and her parents don't want to live like that. They will never sell the farm because that is their insurance that Carly has a place to stay and will never show up on their doorstep in Arizona. Since the murder, Carly has heard the news about Cadence. She heard that a murdered woman was found in a rest area bathroom, severely beaten beyond recognition. To date, they have yet to identify the woman's body, and that the local police have no leads in the case. Carly is happy to hear that news, because that means that she has outsmarted the police by committing the perfect murder. Finally, Carly was brave enough to actually post Cadence's picture on her profile online. Knowing that it will attract men, she decided that if a man wants to meet her in person, she would just tell him that she had gained some weight. By the time they were to meet in person, Carly wants to have them seduced, where her weight will not be a factor anyway. A few days after Carly posted Cadence's photo, a man named Austin that resides in Tennessee had sent Carly a flirt to let her know he is interested in her. Carly got back to him telling him her name is Cadence and that she lived in Arkansas on a farm. They seemed to be drawn to each other and talked many nights on the phone before deciding to meet in person. Carly told him that she had put on some weight, but she had been dieting and had lost a few pounds. Austin told her that he was more interested in her than her weight, and he still wanted to meet her. Their meeting was successful, so Austin decided to go home and make all the necessary arrangements so that he could go back and spend more time with Carly and see if she could be the one for him to marry. Austin has never been married and has no children. He has lived on his own since being a teenager. When he was a child, he bounced from foster home to foster home, and he does not know who his real parents are. So being able to find the right woman, get married, and start a family of his own means a lot to him. Austin is 5 years older than Carly. He is 5 feet 10 inches and about 175 pounds. He has blonde hair and blue eyes. Austin is a very loving man, but if he gets lied to or double-crossed, he is not so easy to forgive and moves on. Austin wants to wait until he and Carly are married before they have sex. Carly at first thought it was just his way not to be with her sexually, and then he explained that he has been hurt in the past and made a promise to himself that he will not have sex again until he is married. Austin has been on the farm for 2 weeks, and he thought everything is going so well that he surprised Carly by asking her to marry him. Carly told him yes, even though she did not love him. She just did not want to live alone and thought if she said no, that no one would ask her to marry them again. Carly told Austin that she wanted to go to Tennessee and get married in front of the justice of the peace, but there was a catch. She wanted no witnesses, only the two of them. Austin agreed. They set the date, and a week later they are married. That night, they rented a hotel room with a suite, and they had made love for the first time. Austin was disappointed in Carly's performance, but thought it was just because she is nervous due to it being their first time together intimately. The next morning, Carly wakes up to Austin giving her oral sex. Although it felt good, all she could think about was Cadence and how maybe she had made a mistake by killing her over greed. After a few days, they had headed back to Arkansas. Austin was feeling the whole way that he had maybe made a mistake in marrying her so fast without really knowing her better. After a few months have gone by and sex between them did not improve, and Austin is getting a taste of Carly's violent outbursts firsthand. She would blame it on stress and he would overlook it. Finally, Austin has had enough of Carly's aggressive behavior, never wanting him to go to town, always accusing him of cheating on her, and her screaming and yelling in the house. Austin went upstairs and packed his bags, then headed back downstairs. Carly saw Austin coming down the stairs with his bags of clothes. She asked him, "What are you doing?" "I'm leaving you, Carly, and I will send you the divorce papers once I get back to Tennessee," he told her. "Why are you leaving?" "We are married, Austin," Carly said in a stern voice. Once Austin reached the bottom of the stairs, he set his bags on the floor, then gave Carly a hug. He then told her that he just can't live like that anymore, and that he no longer wants to be married to her. "I care for you, Cadence, but I can only take so much bullshit," he told her. Austin picked up his bags and opened the door to leave, not knowing that his decision would prove deadly. Carly is watching him walk towards his truck then. In a tearful voice, she asked him, "Is there a chance we can work this marriage out, Austin?" Austin turned and looked at her, then said, "No, Cadence, I have no intentions of staying in this marriage with you. It's over." He turned away from her to get to his truck. Those words made Carly furious. She flew off the porch, enraged by his decision to leave her. She saw an old metal fence post lying in the grassy turnaround in the driveway. She grabbed it and ran to Austin, and before he was able to see what is going on, she hit him in the back of the head, knocking him to his knees. Austin tried to collect himself. He could feel blood running down his neck and soaking his shirt. Carly attacked him so fast that he never had a chance to protect himself from her violence. She hit him in the head again until he is lying in the grass motionless. The post has split his head open. Carly knew that she could not lift him, so she went to the barn and got the tractor. She loaded his limp body into the tractor bucket and took him to the barn. When she returned to the barn, she realized that he is still alive. She went into the mechanical room where her father kept his tools and found a homemade come-along for hanging deer. She decided to hang Austin up with the come-along using a beam in the barn. She tied the rope around his hands, and in the middle of the rope, she tied a knot that the hook on the come-along would slip through. Using the tractor, she raised his body up, hanging him by his arms. Carly stripped him completely naked before hanging him too high from the beam. His clothes are soaked in blood. He also has a faint pulse, but she found that he had one. Carly is feeling dumped and double-crossed. She has revenge running like fire through her veins. After hoisting him up where she wants him, she secured the come-along to the tractor, ensuring that he would not fall. Carly starts screaming at him, saying, "You shouldn't have married me if you had plans to leave. You promised to love me until death do us part." Austin is moaning in terrible pain. She heard his moans as she walked around him. Carly is searching the barn for some kind of weapon. She is ranting and raving about him and how she is going to make him pay for trying to leave her. Carly found some long strands of old barbed wire. She picked up both pieces and ran at him, screaming, "You are going to suffer now, you lying son of a bitch." Carly started thrashing him with a strand of the barbed wire, cutting him all over his body. When the wire would stick in his skin, she would just rip it out of his flesh, tearing his skin and tissue open, causing severe wounds. Every time she would strike him, he would jerk and let out a faint cry. He worked up a tearful sorry. Carly looked at him and screamed, "Sorry? You have not begun to be sorry, Austin." She took a piece of baling twine and tied it to a cinder block. She climbed up into the tractor bucket and tied the other end of the baling twine to the end of his penis. She then threw the cinder block to the ground. The cinder block did not hit the ground, but the force of the block falling tore a huge gash in the head of his penis, almost ripping it off. Austin screamed out in agony. In an evil voice, Carly says to him, "You are going to wish you'd die, but I plan to kill you slowly." Carly grabbed the fence post again and started hitting him up and down his body. Austin is beaten down so badly that he is barely clinging to life. Carly is bound and determined to make him suffer, so she goes back into the tool room to see what other kinds of tools she could use to torture him. She found a Roundup weed killer with a spray nozzle. She grabbed the jug and went back to Austin, removing the nozzle. She held his mouth open and poured the weed killer in his mouth. Then she held his mouth closed, forcing him to swallow the chemical. She then reattached the nozzle and started spraying his body down with the weed killer, making sure she got it inside all of his wounds. When the bottle is empty, Carly started hitting him again with the barbed wire. Her rage is overwhelming, even for her. After wrapping the barbed wire around his neck and hanging him with the barbed wire, she decided that she would just let him hang there until it was good and dark. She would deal with his body and what to do with it later. After a few hours, it is dark enough for Carly to head back to the barn. She loaded his limp body in the tractor bucket with a bag of lye. She took him out to the old well, poured the bag of lye over him, then she dumped his body into the well. Austin fell quite a ways down the well before she heard his body hit some old wood planks. Then she used the tractor to slide the concrete cover back over the top of the well. Carly went back to the house to clean up, not knowing that Austin is still clinging to life inside of the well. The next morning, Carly went out and cleaned the barn of all the blood, Austin's clothes, and fence posts. She piled everything into the tractor bucket, then went to the farm's garbage dump area and buried the items, then spread garbage over the freshly dug hole. Carly spread fresh shavings in the barn to cover anything that she may have missed. She also cleaned the house, making it look as though no one had been there. Carly put Austin's bags in his truck, then drove his truck down to the machine shed where the farm equipment is, and parked it there until she decides what she is going to do with it. Carly got a bag of her clothes and got in her new car and headed back to her home, out of state, with her sights set on the newest man of interest online. A few months have gone by since Austin's murder. Carly has decided that she is ready to meet the new love interest in the person. He is a tall man with dark hair and dark eyes. His name is Devin, and he lives in Oklahoma. Devin has a medium build, but what Carly likes is his dark personality. The day that Devin is supposed to meet Carly at the farm, he is late. Carly feared that he had changed his mind about her because she waited so long to tell him about her being overweight. It was getting late, and Carly is going to get ready for bed when she saw headlights coming up the road, then turn into the driveway. Carly gets excited, but at the same time, she is a little angry that he did not call her. She steps out on the porch when Devin got out of the car. She started to ask why the hell he had not called her when she noticed that he has roses and a gift bag for her. Devin smiles as he walks up on the porch. He hands her the roses and the bag, leans in and gives her a sweet kiss, then tells her he is sorry for being late and not calling her. He told her that it won't happen again. Carly smiled at him and said, "It better not." They walked into the house, and Devin tells Carly he wants her to see what is in the bag. Carly sits on the couch and starts to look into the bag. Devin let out a laugh, then said, "You told me on the phone that it's your favorite thing, and you needed a new one." Carly smiled at him, then she looked into the bag closer. When she pulled the bright hot pink vibrator out of the bag, she starts to laugh. There is more in the bag. She also got a pack of batteries and a sexy black nightie. Carly is feeling really good about Devin right now, She stands up, grabbing her bag of goodies. She walks over to Devon, kisses him passionately while rubbing his crotch through his pants. He is getting hard and she could feel it. She is pleased that he is not lacking in that department from what she could feel. Carly walked over to the door and deadbolted it. She walked up to Devon and said, "If you want to have the best night of your life, then you need to follow me upstairs." He smiled at her, then slapped her on her ass as they headed upstairs. When they reached her room, Carly told him she'd be right back, then went to the bathroom to change. When she came back to the room, Devon was standing there with his shirt off and his pants unbuttoned. She walks up to him in her new silk nightie and starts kissing him while rubbing inside of his jeans. Very pleased with her choice of a man, she gets on her knees and starts giving him oral sex. Devon moans with pleasure when Carly turned on the vibrator and put it inside of herself and continued to pleasure him. That made him so hot. Then he asked her, "Are you my kinky bitch?" Carly smiled at him and said, "Yeah, baby, I'm your kinky bitch." Devon told Carly, "I have another surprise for you." Carly listened for him to say what it was. "You want to know why I was late?" "Yeah," Carly told him. "I kidnapped a girl for our sexual pleasure." Carly looked at him, then said, "You're kidding, right?" "No, seriously, anything for my baby." He then smiled at her. Carly felt kind of weird about it, but aroused her at the same time. Devon laid Carly on the bed and said, "I will be right back." Carly waited for Devon to return. He returned with a woman that had tits that wouldn't quit. Carly felt herself start to throb because she loved being with a woman, and she is anticipating how good she is about to feel. Carly asked the woman, "What's your name, beautiful?" The woman answered and said, "It's Sadie." Carly told Sadie that she is kinky and that Sadie is going to have the time of her life. She took the vibrator and started rubbing it on Sadie's lips and in her mouth. Carly is so hot, knowing that she has this girl to do whatever she wants her to do, and she will do it. Devon went and sat in a chair across the room to watch the show that he has created. What Carly did not know is that she is in bed with Devon and his wife. They seek out single women on the internet to have sex with, then move on to their next liaison. Devon is hard once again, so he heads back to the bed. He wants anal with Carly. He put Carly on her knees. Carly loved it. She has never experienced pleasure as she has right now. Devon got what he wanted from Carly and then said he wants Sadie again. Carly got upset and said, "I want you to screw me." Devon says, "You've been getting it with your vibrator." Then Carly became angry and in a loud voice, she said, "No, I want you, not the damn vibrator, Devon." Devon said, "I will do you, but let me finish with Sadie real quick. Then you can have all of me for yourself." Carly agreed and waited for him to finish so he can be with her like she craved. When Devon finished with Sadie, he stood up, buttoned his jeans, and then walked over to get his shirt. Carly says, "Hey, where are you going? I thought you were going to be with me next." Devon looked at Carly, smiled, then said, "Sorry, babe, but I don't screw fat chicks." Carly became furious. She flew off the bed after him and she scratched him down his face. He got pissed and threw her to the floor and tells her in an angry voice, "Don't get up. Sadie, get your clothes on," he demanded. Sadie got up off the bed and started putting her clothes on. After Sadie is dressed, Devon demanded Sadie to go wait in their car. Carly grabbed Sadie and said, "No, you don't have to leave with him, and he doesn't own you, Sadie. You can stay here with me." Devon grabbed Carly by the throat and told her in a sinister tone, "Don't undermine me, or I will bury you." He then threw her to the floor again. He grabbed Sadie by the hair and pulled her out of the room. He got in Sadie's face and said, I have to take care of this bitch, so go get in the car and when I'm done, we will leave. This time they picked the wrong woman to roleplay with because Carly is furious about being played by them. He went back to the room but could not find Carly, so as he is heading for the door to leave, Carly came from out of nowhere and stabbed Devon in the shoulder with a butcher knife. He dropped to his knee, then reached for the knife and pulled it out of his shoulder. As Carly tried to get past him, he sliced her deeply across her chest with the knife. Carly kept running, and she could feel the blood soaking her nightie and running down her legs. Devon went after Carly. He could smell the sex and blood trail. It didn't take him long to find her hiding in a stall in the barn. He found the light switch and turned the lights on so he could see where he was. Not knowing what to do with Carly, he saw the come-along hanging over the rafter, and that gave him the idea of hanging Carly up with the come-along. Devon took Carly's silk nightie off of her, then he used some baling twine to tie her up so he could hang her to the rafter. Once he had her hung to the rafter, he decided to torture her. So he started carving words into her stomach. Carly is screaming in agony. She is crying blood-soaked tears. He then decided to bite off her nipples, spitting them into the shavings on the barn floor. Carly is in excruciating pain, and with all the blood loss, she is starting to go in and out of consciousness. He cut the come-along and Carly's body came down. How ironic is it that Devon finds a piece of barbed wire that Carly had used to torture Austin while killing him. Now, due to her bad choice of men, she is suffering the devastating fate that she has given her victims that had trusted her with no regard of their lives. Karma is a mysterious thing, isn't it? Devon wraps the barbed wire around Carly's throat as tight as he could. She has blood coming from the places that the barbed wire embedded into her neck. Then he hangs her with the barbed wire to one of the posts in the barn. Devon grabs the pitchfork and thrusts it into her chest so hard that it completely goes through her. While she is hanging there dying, he kisses her softly on the cheek and then whispers in her ear with laughter in his voice, "I do." Carly is left hanging dead in the barn with the words carved into her stomach that read, "I dared to marry a stranger."